Chapter 1. Where the River Remembers. I was born in the heart of Fall River, Massachusetts, a place where the mills once spun thread and the wind still whispers in Portuguese. The city is stitched with grit and memory, ocean breath and brick walls, echoing with the stories of those who came before me. On my father's side, I come from Portuguese roots that ran deep and loud. The Mello family, my father Frank Mello, had the temper of a storm and the silence of a stone when he chose it. He was one of the four. His sister, my titia Linda Mello, a fierce, loving presence in my life. And then there were my uncles, Richie and Brian, each carrying their own scars and shadows, their laughter always a little louder than my pain. My grandparents, who we called Vavo and Vavu, my grandfather with his hands like working tools, my grandmother with her eyes that held old country wisdom anchored the family like thick roots. On my mother's side, the waters got murkier. Nicole Bocek, my mom, was fire in a porcelain frame. Her mother, Nancy Bocek, is now among the stars. Her absence is leaving a space that no time or tale can fill. And then there was Grandpa Stephen Bocek, her father, who had stories from a life before ours, a first marriage to a woman I vaguely remember. I believe her name was Susan. From that union came many. Kim, Neil, my mom's siblings, and others I remember like puzzle pieces. Michelle, Ross, half-blooded but still tied by thread. My family tree was wide and crooked, growing in directions I couldn't always follow. I had a brother. I had a sister I barely got to know, Jordan Mello. And that's the daughter of my father and Maria, his second wife. I've spent a lifetime wondering what pieces of me lived in her and what we shared without ever sharing a life. Same with my brother Ryan. My mom, in her next chapter, married a man named Brooke Robinson, and just like that, more names stitched themselves into my story. Some staying, some drifting like ghosts through a hallway I never chose to walk. This was the beginning of tangible names and bloodlines, sharp-edged, some soft-lit, but all part of the foundation that formed me. Chapter 2. The one who came before the fall. My story didn't start with lullabies and nightlights. It started with confusion and chaos, and honestly, a suspicious number of oops. My parents were young, like really young, somewhere between 15 and 17 when they made me. I like to joke that I was either a miracle, a mistake, or a dare. Maybe all three. Either way, I showed up wide-eyed, soul-heavy, and already feeling too much. We lived in New Bedford for a time. Me, my mom, my dad, and eventually my little brother Ryan, who arrived 3 years later. Cross-eyed and cute. That place holds some of my earliest memories, like haunted film reels playing in the back of my mind. My dad was a heroin addict back then, and my mom had boyfriends like seasons, some cold, some fleeting, and all confusing. And me, I was a wide-eyed observer, the baby with ancient gaze, watching the world go off the rails before I could even pronounce my own name. I remember taking my father's poems, shredded love letters he once wrote to my mother, and carefully taping them back together like I was trying to repair more than just paper. I think even then, I knew I was a healer, just didn't have the language for it yet. But the home wasn't safe, not emotionally, not spiritually, not physically. There were always fights, doors slamming, screams like sharp objects flying through the air, secret shadows, silence where there should have been safety. And then there were the touches, too many touches, unwanted, unexplained, unspoken. It wasn't just one person. It was like I was passed around, not just physically, sexually, energetically. Like everyone wanted a piece of something they didn't understand but felt threatened by. My grandfather told me casually, like it was funny family anecdote, that I once tumbled down the stairs. My grandmother, my Vavo, just told me casually, like it was funny anecdote, that I once tumbled down the stairs as a baby. There was no gate, no supervision, right? Just gravity, trauma. Things happen, kind of shrug, right? I spent a lifetime wondering what else happened to me when no one else is looking. Here's the thing. I was born remembering. You ever meet a kid that stares right through you? That was me. I wasn't supposed to be that awake. So they did what people do when they fear what they don't understand. They silenced it, scrambled it, paid people maybe, cast spells, who knows. Whatever it was, it worked for a while. It made the light seem crazy. They made the truth look dangerous, and they made me look like the problem. But let me tell you something. You can't unknow what your soul knows. You can't unfeel what your body remembers. And you cannot kill a fire that came here to blaze the damn trail. Yeah, I fell down some stairs, but let me tell you, that wasn't the fall that broke me. That was just my first trip through a portal. Chapter 3. I remember now. I look back sometimes and wonder how I made it out alive, and not just physically. I meant with my heart intact, my soul, my softness, my laugh, my fight, my light. I just didn't survive what just happened. I remembered it, and then I rewired it, and now I rewrite it. That little girl they try to bury under shame, blame, pills, and projections. They call her broken, sick, too much. She was never broken. She was just bright. So bright it hurt their eyes. I carried a suitcase of guilt for years that wasn't mine, and I wore a name tag labeled problem, because everyone needed a scapegoat, and I was the one who still felt love after being spit on. They fed me diagnoses like communion and told me I was wrong to question anything. So I stayed quiet, I stayed small, I stayed sick until one day I just didn't. Because there came a moment, a holy moment, when I stopped running from myself and I ran straight into the storm. I saw my younger self wide-eyed and wrecked, holding the taped-up poems of a father who was too high to hold her and a mother who was too hurt to choose her. And I said, I see you. I will never abandon you again. And that was my come to Jesus moment. But not the one that they taught in church. This was Jesus with dirt under his nails, walking beside me through the alleys of my own unraveling, reminding me, you were never broken. You were never the sinner, baby girl. You were the sacred. So I started remembering who the fuck I am. A rebel coded in compassion, a glitch in the system, this matrix, an undercover angel who walked through hell and blessed it on the way out. A healer born of harm, a mirror that won't lie, God's wild daughter with battle wounds turned birthmarks. Yeah, they tried to break me, but God knew who to send into the darkest corners of the world. He sent me, because I would go there, and I would feel it all, and I would come back with keys. It wasn't just the trauma. It was the programming, the constant gaslighting, the stories they needed to believe, me to believe, so they didn't have to face their own demons. I became what they feared most, awake, and I paid the price of isolation, institutions, addiction, and the pain so deep it turned my bones to rivers. But I also gained something they could never touch, my soul's mission. I now know this. I was born for this exact path, designed to transmute, to turn wounds into wisdom, and to walk back into the fire with others and show them the way out. I'm not on meds anymore. I've replaced pills with prayers and confusion with clarity, and I still roll my blunts and puff on my cigarettes, but now I do it with awareness. Now I walk barefoot in the sun. Now I eat when I remember I deserve to be nourished, and I still struggle, but I no longer suffer in silence because I'm no longer ashamed. I used to need someone to love me just right to feel okay. Now I am the love. I used to seek answers from every psychic, parent, partner, and preacher. Now I trust the voice inside, the one that says, let go, Alicia, let it go, and let it flow. And I'm finally listening. And every time I surrender, I find peace, and every time I soften, I rise. Every time I fall apart, I find another layer of myself that was waiting to be held. So yeah, call me sensitive, call me intense, call me crazy if you must. Don't forget to call me chosen.